Millions of Americans welcomed this bearded Louisiana family into their homes every week, never imagining that behind the laughter, hunting stories, and family values was a tale of extraordinary success, controversy, and a television empire that would rise faster than anyone expected and eventually begin to crumble. This is the untold story of how a small duck hunting business became one of the biggest reality television phenomena in American history, and why the dynasty that seemed unstoppable ultimately lost its crown. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because we uncover the untold stories, hidden secrets, and dramatic rise and falls of the world's most famous celebrities and television empires. The story of Duck Dynasty did not begin in a television studio or on a Hollywood set. It began deep in the swamps of Louisiana with a man named Phil Robertson. Long before he became a television star, Phil was known as an exceptional athlete. In fact, he was once the starting quarterback at Louisiana Tech University, where he played ahead of a young quarterback named Terry Bradshaw, who would later become an NFL legend. Many believed Phil had the talent to pursue a professional football career, but he shocked everyone by walking away from the sport. Unlike many people who dream of fame and fortune, Phil wanted something entirely different. He loved the outdoors, duck hunting, and a simple way of life. However, choosing a different path did not make life easy. The Robertson family faced years of financial struggles and uncertainty. There were difficult times when money was scarce and the future seemed unclear. Despite these hardships, Phil remained passionate about duck hunting. During his hunting trips, he often became frustrated because he could never find a duck call that produced the perfect sound. Most people would have accepted the problem, but Phil saw an opportunity. He began experimenting and designing his own duck call. After countless attempts, he finally created a product that he believed was superior to anything available on the market. It was not a glamorous invention, nor did it appear to be the beginning of a business empire. It was simply the creation of a man who wanted a better tool for his favorite hobby. In 1972, Phil founded a company called Duck Commander, and although the business started small, it would eventually change his family's life forever. For many years, the company remained modest. The Robertson family worked tirelessly to keep the business alive. Every sale mattered, and success was far from guaranteed. Then came Phil's son, Willie Robertson, who possessed a remarkable talent for business. Willie saw possibilities that others did not. He believed that Duck Commander could become much more than a small hunting company. Under Willie's leadership, the company expanded rapidly. He transformed the brand through smarter marketing and stronger business strategies. Sales began to increase dramatically, and the once struggling family started achieving financial success. Yet even then, nobody could have predicted the extraordinary journey that was about to begin. At the same time, television producers were searching for something new. Reality television had become incredibly popular, but audiences were growing tired of celebrities and scripted drama. Producers wanted authentic personalities and genuine stories. Then they discovered the Robertson family. Everything about them seemed unique. They had long beards, wore camouflage clothing, operated a successful family business, and possessed personalities that were both entertaining and relatable. Most importantly, they appeared completely authentic. Television executives believed they had found something special. In 2012, A&E premiered Duck Dynasty. Expectations for the show were modest. Nobody expected it to become one of the biggest cable television hits in history. But from the very first season, audiences fell in love with the Robertson family. Viewers laughed at Uncle Si's endless stories and quirky personality. They admired Willie's ability to manage the business and enjoyed the playful interactions between family members. Every episode felt like spending time with relatives rather than watching television stars. The ratings exploded. What had started as a simple reality show quickly became a cultural phenomenon. Millions of people tuned in every week. Some episodes attracted more than 11 million viewers, making Duck Dynasty one of the most watched cable reality shows in American television history. The Robertson family suddenly found themselves living a completely different life. They became household names. Their faces appeared on magazine covers and television interviews. They published best-selling books, embarked on speaking tours, and built a massive merchandise empire. Products featuring the Robertson family appeared in stores across America, generating millions of dollars in revenue. The success was extraordinary. A family that had once struggled financially had become one of the most recognizable families in the country. It seemed as though the dynasty would continue growing indefinitely. However, fame has a dangerous side. The larger a public figure becomes, the more closely every word and action is examined. The The very authenticity that had made the Robertson family famous would eventually place them at the center of intense national controversy. And that controversy would become the beginning of the fall of Duck Dynasty. By 2013, Duck Dynasty was no longer just a television show. It had become a cultural phenomenon. The Robertson family represented something different in American entertainment. To millions of fans, they symbolized faith, family values, and the simple lifestyle of rural America. Churches invited them to speak, their books climbed bestseller lists, and their merchandise generated millions of dollars. The family had become a brand, and that brand seemed nearly unstoppable. Then everything changed. In December 2013, Phil Robertson gave an interview that would spark one of the biggest controversies in reality television history. During the interview, some of his comments regarding social issues generated immediate backlash across the country. News organizations picked up the story almost instantly, and within hours the controversy dominated headlines. Social media exploded with debates, criticism, and outrage. A&E found itself in an incredibly difficult position. The network had built one of the most successful reality shows in cable television history around the Robertson family, but now it was facing pressure from every direction. Some people demanded that the network take action against Phil, while millions of loyal fans defended him and argued that he had the right to express his personal beliefs. The situation quickly became a national conversation. Television commentators discussed it every night. Politicians shared their opinions. Celebrities weighed in. For weeks, it seemed impossible to escape the story. The controversy had grown far beyond a reality television program. It had become a debate about free speech, religion, and cultural values in America. Eventually, A&E announced that Phil Robertson would be suspended from the show. The decision shocked fans. Almost immediately, a massive backlash began. Supporters of the Robertson family launched petitions and campaigns demanding that Phil be reinstated. Thousands of fans took to social media, expressing their disappointment with the network's decision. Some even threatened to stop watching the show entirely. The reaction was so intense that A&E faced a difficult reality. The network's biggest stars were not ordinary celebrities. They had built a deep and loyal connection with their audience. Removing Phil from the show risked alienating millions of viewers. Only days later, the network reversed its decision and allowed Phil to return. Although the crisis appeared to be over, something had changed. The controversy had divided the audience. Some viewers remained loyal and supported the family even more passionately than before. Others began distancing themselves from the show. The image of Duck Dynasty as a light-hearted family program had been replaced by something more complicated. Yet the controversy was only one part of the story. Like many television phenomena, Duck Dynasty faced another challenge that almost every hit series eventually encounters: audience fatigue. At the beginning, everything about the Robertson family felt fresh and exciting. Their lifestyle seemed unique, and viewers couldn't get enough of their humor and personalities. But as the years passed, the novelty slowly began to fade. The ratings, which had once shattered records, started to decline. Millions of viewers who had once watched every episode moved on to new shows and new forms of entertainment. The television landscape itself was changing. Streaming services were becoming increasingly popular, and audiences had more choices than ever before. Reality television can be unpredictable. A show may dominate the cultural conversation one year and struggle to remain relevant the next. Very few reality programs can maintain their peak popularity forever. As ratings continued to fall, it became clear that Duck Dynasty was no longer the unstoppable force it had once been. Behind the scenes, the Robertson family was also changing. The children were growing older. Family members were pursuing individual projects. Some focused on businesses outside of Duck Commander, while others explored opportunities in books, speaking engagements, and media appearances. The family that America had fallen in love with was evolving, and so was the show itself. By the time later seasons aired, many viewers felt that the magic of the early years had disappeared. Some critics argued that the series had become repetitive. Others believed that the family had simply become too famous and too wealthy to maintain the relatable image that had originally attracted audiences. The irony was impossible to ignore. Duck Dynasty became successful because it portrayed an ordinary family living a simple life. But the extraordinary success of the show transformed that family into multimillionaire celebrities. The very thing that made them special had inevitably changed. Then came the announcement that many fans had been expecting. In 2016, the Robertson family revealed that the 11th season of Duck Dynasty would be its last. The final episodes aired in 2017, bringing one of the most successful reality television shows in history to an end. There was no massive scandal that destroyed the series overnight. There was no dramatic cancellation. Instead, it was the slow and natural conclusion of a television phenomenon that had reached incredible heights and eventually lost momentum. The dynasty had risen. The dynasty had conquered television. And now, the dynasty was ending. When the final episode aired, it marked the end of an era in American television. For 5 years, the Robertson family had dominated cable ratings and turned a small Louisiana business into a worldwide brand. But unlike many reality stars who disappear after their show's end, the Robertsons had built something that extended far beyond television. Duck Commander remained a successful company, and the family continued to benefit from the empire they had created. Willie Robertson expanded his business interests and became a public speaker and entrepreneur. Uncle Si remained one of the most recognizable personalities from the series, continuing to make media appearances and launching new projects. Other members of the family focused on books, podcasts, and personal ventures. Yet one question remained. How did a family that once attracted more than 11 million viewers every week become a show that many people rarely talk about today? The answer lies in the very nature of fame itself. Television history is filled with massive phenomena that seemed permanent at the height of their success. Audiences often believe that a popular show will last forever, but entertainment trends change quickly. New stars emerge, new stories capture attention, and even the biggest cultural sensations eventually fade into memory. Duck Dynasty was no exception. Its rise had been so extraordinary that its decline felt almost shocking. The show went from being one of the most talked about programs in America to ending quietly only a few years later. For younger viewers, it is difficult to imagine just how enormous the phenomenon once was. At its peak, stores sold Duck Dynasty clothing, toys, games, and household products. The family appeared on magazine covers and talk shows across the country. Their books became bestsellers. They received invitations to major events and were treated like Hollywood celebrities despite living a lifestyle completely different from traditional stars. In many ways, the Robertson family represented a unique moment in American culture. They proved that audiences still valued authenticity. They showed that a family from rural Louisiana could become one of the biggest names in entertainment without changing who they were. They demonstrated that success could come from the most unexpected places. But their story also revealed the hidden price of fame. With enormous popularity comes enormous scrutiny. Every comment becomes a headline. Every disagreement becomes national news. Every decision is analyzed by millions of strangers. The Robertson family experienced both sides of celebrity life. They enjoyed incredible success and financial freedom, but they also learned how quickly public opinion can shift. The controversy surrounding Phil Robertson changed the public perception of the show forever. Whether people agreed with him or disagreed with him, the incident transformed Duck Dynasty from simple entertainment into something much larger and more complicated. The family suddenly became symbols in a national debate, and once that happened, it became difficult for the show to return to the carefree atmosphere that had made it so successful in the beginning. Another challenge was that reality television often struggles to maintain authenticity over time. During the early seasons, viewers felt they were getting a genuine look into the lives of the Robertson family. But as the family became richer and more famous, some fans began questioning whether the show still reflected reality. The success itself had changed everything. The small family business had become a massive corporation. The ordinary people had become celebrities. The simple lifestyle had become a multi-million-dollar brand. Ironically, the very success that built the empire also made it harder to preserve the image that audiences originally loved. Yet despite its decline, the legacy of Duck Dynasty remained significant. The series changed reality television. Networks realized that audiences were hungry for authentic personalities and unconventional families. After the success of Duck Dynasty, producers searched for other programs featuring ordinary people with unique lifestyles and family businesses. The show's influence can still be seen in reality television today. More importantly, the story of the Robertson family became one of the most remarkable business success stories in modern entertainment. A man who once carved duck calls because he wanted a better hunting tool ended up creating a brand worth millions of dollars. A family that once struggled financially became one of the richest and most recognizable families in reality television. A small business from Louisiana became a global phenomenon. And perhaps that is why the story of Duck Dynasty continues to fascinate people. Because at its heart, it is more than a story about television ratings and controversies. It is a story about family. It is a story about ambition. It is a story about unexpected success and the challenges that come with it. Most importantly, it is a reminder that fame is often temporary. No matter how powerful an empire appears, no matter how many millions of people are watching, and no matter how successful a brand becomes, every dynasty eventually faces its moment of decline. The beards may no longer dominate television screens. The ratings records may have been broken by newer shows. The cultural phenomenon may have faded. But the rise and fall of Duck Dynasty remains one of the most fascinating chapters in reality television history. A story of ordinary people who achieved extraordinary success, conquered an entire industry, and discovered that even the biggest empires are never guaranteed to last forever. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more untold stories about the rise and fall of television legends, celebrity empires, and the secrets behind the world's most famous families, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because sometimes the greatest stories are not about how people become famous, they're about what happens after the fame begins to disappear.